If you have friends from the Malay community in Malaysia or Indonesia, you've likely heard of the Pontianak, a vampire-like figure deeply rooted in Malay folklore, believed to be the vengeful spirit of a woman who died during childbirth. The Pontianak is one of the most feared ghosts in the region. Often appearing as a beautiful woman, she lures in unsuspecting victims with the cries of a baby and the scent of jasmine. But once you get too close, her true form is revealed. The floral fragrance turns into the stench of decay, and she drains her victims blood dry. In today's video, we'll explore the legend of the Pontianak, the most infamous Malay vampire, along with 3 terrifying true stories of people who claim to have encountered her. I'm Mr. Yao, and welcome to the Leyenda Yokai channel. Here, I explore famous yokai and urban legends. If you're into these topics, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos. In the 1980s, Malaysia was experiencing a period of rapid economic growth. The economy, once primarily based on agriculture, was quickly transforming into one centered on manufacturing and industry. As a result, many Malays from rural kampong areas moved to the cities for employment, helping to drive the nation's economic development. However, in addition to the labor force that was vital for the country's progress, these Malays also brought with them something else from the kampong: stories of local folklore. Among these tales, the most famous is none other than Pontianak. The Malaysian version of the name Pontianak comes from 3 Malay words combined together. Puan meaning lady, Mati meaning death, and Arnak meaning child. Put together, it becomes Puan Mati Arnak, which was shortened to Pontianak, meaning a lady whose child has died. Over time, the term evolved to represent the infamous Malay female ghost. However, Pontianak is not only well known in Malaysia. Her fame has also spread throughout Indonesia. Both countries share fertile land and are exporters of natural and agricultural resources, with vast plantations. Pontianak is said to be most active in these plantation areas, particularly favoring banana trees during the day. Naturally, this led to her gaining widespread notoriety in these agriculture-rich nations. In Malay culture, the Pontianak is one of the most well-known and terrifyingly violent ghosts. Malays believe that the origin of the Pontianak comes from women who die during childbirth. When a pregnant woman dies during labor, she is said to transform into a Pontianak, becoming a vengeful spirit filled with resentment. When Pontianak appears, she is dressed in a long white gown, with her face obscured by long, jet-black hair. Her red eyes, as if soaked in blood, add to her eerie presence. She moves unpredictably, floating through the air, and can fly. Her sharp claws can easily tear apart her victims with little effort. The Pontianak often takes the form of a beautiful woman. Whenever she appears, there is a distinct scent of fragrant flowers, and she is mysteriously accompanied by the sound of a baby crying. Legend has it that when you hear the loud cry of a baby, it means she is still far away, giving you time to escape. But if the cry becomes faint, it might mean she's right behind you. The Pontianak is a bloodthirsty and flesh-hungry, vengeful spirit. She actively targets humans, with her primary victims being deceitful men or heartless lovers. It's believed that in life, she may have been wronged by such men, which fuels her strong desire for revenge, making them her favored prey. At first, she appears as a beautiful woman to lower men's guard. Men who are not cautious are easily lured into danger. Once she successfully approaches her target, she reveals her true form. Long, yellow claws slash at her victim as her beautiful face distorts into a withered, wrinkled appearance with sharp fangs. The pleasant floral scent surrounding her suddenly changes to the foul stench of decay. In fact, aside from men, the Pontianak also attacks pregnant women and infants, likely driven by jealousy. Among the Malays, there is a well-known story involving a Malay woman. Due to her husband's job, they moved to a remote area and settled in a small single-story house not far from a banana plantation. On their first day in the house, the woman found a dirty, tattered white cloth in a corner of the bedroom. Initially, she didn't think much of it and casually threw it away. However, strange events began happening one after another. For example, even though no one else was in the house, she would often hear the sound of someone showering in the bathroom. Her toothbrush would mysteriously end up in the toilet, and food she left for her husband would suddenly spoil without explanation. Strange, right? It sounds like a mischievous spirit playing tricks, doesn't it? But the truly terrifying events were yet to come. Not long after, the Malay woman began to notice mysterious bruises appearing all over her arms, legs, and stomach. Their wedding photo frame also suddenly shattered. Even more bizarre, while they were having dinner, 2 crows flew into the house and defecated on their food. These strange occurrences nearly drove the woman insane. She argued with her husband countless times about moving out, but they never managed to leave. One night, when her husband was working the night shift, the woman stayed home alone. That night, she suddenly heard the sound of someone stir-frying in the kitchen. Pushed to her breaking point, instead of feeling fear, she was filled with rage and stormed into the kitchen to find out what was going on. When she entered the kitchen, nothing. No one was there. Not a single sign of anything unusual. Frustrated, she angrily yelled into the empty kitchen to vent her fury. Afterward, she left the kitchen and returned to the living room. But then, she smelled a floral scent and saw a woman standing in the living room. A woman in a white gown with blood-red eyes and long hair down to her waist, staring at her. That woman was none other than the infamous Pontianak. As they locked eyes, the Malay woman noticed something in the Pontianak hand, a dirty, tattered white cloth. It was the same cloth she had thrown away earlier. What happened next, no one knows because the woman lost consciousness. When she regained it, she was lying in a hospital bed. Some say she was possessed by the Pontianak, while others believe the Pontianak spared her because she had no children. In any case, this story shows just how terrifying the Pontianak can be. It's best to keep your distance from her. A 14-second TikTok video made Malaysians believe Pontianak is real. In 2023, a 29-year-old auxiliary police officer, Ikma, uploaded a 14-second video on his TikTok. The caption read, "For the past 8 years of my patrols, I've often been disturbed by a mysterious sound. This is the first time I've seen the source of it, so I recorded this as proof." The moment the video was uploaded, it went viral, instantly gaining over 1 million views in a short span of time. More than that, Ikma post even pushed the word Pontianak to the top of the trending list. The video was filmed on a pitch-black night. In the dense bushes, a long-haired figure dressed in white appeared, floating in mid-air while letting out an eerie, bird-like woo-woo-woo sound. For Malaysians and Indonesians, this ghostly woman in white needs no introduction. She is none other than the infamous Pontianak, the terrifying vampire spirit of Malay folklore. According to auxiliary police officer Ikma, he had been haunted by an unexplained sound during his patrols for years. But recently, he finally captured its true source on camera. Not only did the video show what appeared to be a white-clad ghost, but also recorded the chilling woo-woo-woo sound in full clarity. Ikma emphasized that he wasn't trying to scare people, but rather to warn them. If they ever encounter something like this, they should remain calm and not panic. However, what people should do in such a situation is run, rather than pull out their phones to record. Unlike Ikma, who only started filming after ensuring his own safety. Ikma also mentioned that hearing strange noises during late-night patrols is nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, some elders have even shared their own encounters, claiming to have seen an actual ghostly woman in that very area. They pointed out that the location was once an oil palm plantation, which aligns with the belief that Pontianak often appears near oil palm or banana plantations. Ikma made it clear, both on his TikTok and in multiple media interviews, that his intention in sharing the video was not to scare people. He repeatedly emphasized that he had no reason to fabricate such an event. Many netizens firmly believe that Ikma had undoubtedly encountered a Pontianak, while others think he might have simply fallen victim to a prank. Some even joked that the woman in white was actually filming her own TikTok video at the same time. Regardless of the truth, at least no harm was done, making this a rather fortunate encounter. According to legend, Pontianak only holds a grudge against unfaithful men. Some versions of the myth suggest that she also harbors resentment toward infants and pregnant women, as she herself died during childbirth and transformed into a vengeful spirit. But regardless of whether you're a faithless man or an expectant mother, if you ever encounter Pontianak, it's best to stay far away. After all, she is also known as the vampire of Malay folklore. Speaking of Pontianak, did you know that there's actually a city in Indonesia with the same name? And believe it or not, its name comes from the legend of this terrifying creature. If you happen to know more details about it, feel free to share the story in the comments. Now, let's get back to the story. The next one is a real paranormal encounter shared by my friend. I have a Malay friend named Awang, who has claimed since childhood that he possesses the third eye, the ability to see things that most people cannot. He firmly believes that this ability is connected to a terrifying encounter his father had many years ago. According to Awang, his father once came face-to-face with a Pontianak, an incident that became quite well known in Malaysia at the time. For this story, let's refer to Awang's father as Ali. Back in the 1990s, Ali loved gathering with his friends in the kampung village. They would drink, sing, and chat late into the night, often staying out until the early hours of the morning. Ali always traveled by motorcycle, and to get to and from these gatherings, he had to pass through a banana plantation. One night, just like any other, Ali drank and chatted with his friends until past 4 a.m. When the gathering ended, he hopped onto his motorcycle and headed home. As he rode past the banana plantation, the first thing he noticed was a strong scent of jasmine lingering in the air. Then, up ahead, he saw a woman dressed in white standing in the middle of the road, blocking his path. Immediately, Ali felt something was wrong. It's 4 a.m. What kind of normal woman would be standing here at this hour? At that moment, he knew he had just encountered the legendary vampire, the Pontianak. Without a second thought, Ali twisted the throttle and sped past the woman. But just as he feared, when he glanced at his rearview mirror, he saw her rise into the air and start chasing after him. Ali slammed the throttle and sped down the road like his life depended on it, because it did. He knew that if the Pontianak caught up to him, his life would come to a gruesome end. Racing through the dark, he finally spotted a 24-hour gas station up ahead. Without hesitation, he skidded to a stop, abandoned his motorcycle, and sprinted straight into the station's cashier room. Behind the counter stood a young female cashier. She gasped in shock at Ali's frantic entrance. But when she saw the sheer terror on his face, she immediately understood what was happening. Without asking a single question, she rushed to lock the door. A moment later, the chilling sound of a baby crying echoed from outside. Bingo! They both knew exactly what that meant. They had encountered a Pontianak. Terrified, they huddled together, too afraid to move. The wait felt endless. The crying would start and stop at random, sending chills down their spines. Worse yet, they could hear knocks on the doors and windows, as if something was trying to get in. Neither of them dared to make a sound, fearing that any movement would attract the entity's attention. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, dawn arrived. As the nearby Muslim prayer hall began the morning call to prayer, the baby's cries suddenly vanished. Ali and the cashier had narrowly escaped death. This horrifying encounter led to something unexpected. Ali and the cashier, having survived this ordeal together, eventually fell in love and got married. News of their terrifying night quickly spread, and the gas station shut down for 3 days to perform an exorcism ritual. Because of this incident, 2 of Ali's 5 children were born with the ability to see spirits. One of them was Awang. According to Awang, his father had always been quite the womanizer. And as legend has it, Pontianak despises men like him the most. There is a folk method circulating for dealing with the Pontianak, one that can even excite single individuals. The rumor says that you can insert a nail into the hole in the Pontianak's neck. This trick can keep her in her beautiful woman form forever, allowing you to take her home as your good wife. This situation can last until the nail is removed, at which point she will revert to her vampire state. Doesn't this method sound tempting? However, there's a prerequisite. Your strength must be greater than hers. Have you ever wondered why the Pontianak only appears in Malay urban legends and not among other ethnic groups? It is said that the Pontianak only harasses Muslims, as non-Muslims often consume pork, which is considered unclean and forbidden in Islamic teachings. Thus, the conclusion is that the Pontianak is a devout Muslim. At this point, do you catch a whiff of floral scent? If so, what you should do now is perk up your ears and listen carefully for the sound of a baby crying. If you enjoy my channel, please help by hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.